As a 17-year-old, Elio resides in a villa on the Italian Riviera during the summers, where his family hosts a visiting academic fellow selected by his parents. This year, their guest is Oliver, a 24-year-old postdoctoral fellow from Columbia University specializing in pre-Socratic philosophers, particularly Heraclitus. Elio graciously gives up his room to accommodate Oliver, and they become roommates for the duration of the summer, sharing a balcony that connects their rooms. The family and their guest enjoy the presence of the servants, whom they treat like kin, as well as the residents of neighboring villas and colleagues invited by Elio's father for meals and discussions with Oliver. Summer days at the villa unfold leisurely. Oliver divides his time between assisting Elio's father and working on his manuscript while soaking up the sun by the pool, while Elio occupies himself with transcribing music, reading, and engaging in sports with friends and neighbors. Upon Oliver's arrival, he gives Elio a tour of the house, the sprawling grounds, and the nearby town of B. As they spend more time together, Elio begins to notice the delicate, pale skin on Oliver's hands, feet, and forearms, sparking the initial stirrings of attraction within him. Despite his growing infatuation, Elio struggles to conceal his feelings, feeling daunted by Oliver's aloof demeanor and the cool manner in which he brushes off Elio's attempts to show him around. A simple, later, is all he offers. Despite this initial challenge, Elio finds himself drawn to Oliver, yearning for physical closeness while fearing his own vulnerability to rejection. Despite Elio's reservations, their friendship gradually blossoms as they engage in conversations spanning music, literature, and philosophy. Oliver is impressed by Elio's depth of knowledge in these areas, especially considering his youth. The two also share morning runs, though Elio, uncertain of Oliver's feelings, hides his own emotions behind a facade of silence and detachment. One morning, Chiara, a neighbor of Elio's, arrives to meet Oliver and persuades him to join her at the beach. Over the following week, they spend more time together on boat rides, at the beach, and in the town of B. Elio senses Chiara's infatuation and feels conflicted, fearing the potential loss of Oliver's attention to her. Meanwhile, he also worries about losing Chiara to Oliver. Despite these concerns, Elio continues to fantasize about a romantic relationship with Oliver, imagining it to be purely physical and thrilling. Elio attempts to subtly encourage Oliver's connection with Chiara, but Oliver dismisses his efforts and reveals his lack of interest in her. Instead, Oliver begins seeing another girl named Marzia, with whom he spends a night swimming naked but refrains from intimacy. Elio's attraction to Oliver intensifies, leaving him frustrated by his inability to confide in anyone about his feelings. He longs to express his desires to Oliver but feels unable to do so. One afternoon, when the house is empty, Elio enters Oliver's room, takes one of his bathing suits, and inhales its scent before putting it on briefly. Afterwards, he lies naked in Oliver's bed, holding the bathing suit close and whispering his desires into the pillow. Though this provides a temporary release for his pent-up emotions, Elio still grapples with the fear of facing Oliver's disapproval if he were to confess his feelings openly. Oliver needs to go to B to collect pages from his translator, and he invites Elio to join him. They ride their bikes into town and take a break to smoke cigarettes at a small plaza overlooking the sea. They reminisce about how this spot is where Mary Shelley found her husband's body. Elio shares the Latin phrase, cor cordium, meaning, heart of hearts, referring to the moment when a friend of Shelley's removed the corpse's heart before cremation. Impressed, Oliver asks if there's anything Elio doesn't know, and Elio hints at his romantic attraction and frustration. However, he regrets speaking about it, and Oliver suggests they avoid discussing such matters. Although relieved by the openness, Elio mourns the loss of unspoken hope for intimacy with Oliver. Elio suggests they go to a secluded spot, and Oliver agrees. They ride to the edge of a cliff, to a berm where Monet once painted. Elio reveals it is his private spot for reading and solitude. They engage in conversation, and Oliver compliments Elio's wisdom and way of expressing himself. However, he indicates that acting on their mutual affection would be wrong. Despite sharing a kiss on the berm, Oliver insists they refrain from further intimacy, expressing his unwillingness to do anything he might later regret. Silence and avoidance dominate the days following their encounter. Elio wrestles with his desire for Oliver while concealing his true emotions. During a conversation by the pool, Oliver directly asks Elio about his feelings. Elio openly confesses his attraction. Elio's parents encourage him to spend more time with friends to distract himself from Oliver. In an effort to comply, he invites Marzia on a date to watch a movie in B. During their outing, they visit a bookstore where they encounter a bookseller enjoying port with a poet celebrating the release of his new book, C'est l'amour, if love. Elio purchases 2 copies of the book and gives one to Marzia as a gift. Marzia questions Elio's motives, doubting his true interest in her. Later that evening, they share a kiss in town and engage in intimacy on a beach. Unable to suppress his sexual desire for Oliver any longer, Elio decides to take action after his night with Marzia. He slips a note under Oliver's door, expressing his need to talk. Oliver responds by returning the note with a message urging Elio to grow up and meet him at midnight. Anticipation builds throughout the day for Oliver. That night, Elio meets Oliver in his room, and they share an intimate moment together. As they make love for the first time, Oliver requests that Elio call him by his name, signifying a deeper connection between them. Following their encounter, Elio grapples with conflicting emotions about the future of his relationship with Oliver. Despite his confusion, he discovers that Oliver shares his feelings of affection. Meanwhile, Elio continues his sexual relationship with Marzia, who realizes his true feelings and chooses to remain friends. Oliver begins openly expressing his love for Elio, admitting that he had initially hidden his attraction due to shyness. Elio indulges in a private moment using a peach. To his surprise, Oliver catches him, leading to a controversial act where Oliver consumes the peach, much to Elio's dismay. As Oliver's fellowship comes to an end, he and Elio take a trip to Rome where Oliver will spend his last 3 days in Italy. There, they spend a romantic vacation. Elio becomes too intoxicated and vomits in a square. Oliver helps him recuperate, and they sing Neapolitan songs with strangers on a street. Elio's memory of kissing Oliver on the square becomes his favorite memory of Oliver for the rest of his life. Oliver returns to the United States and Elio returns to his villa. Before departing, Oliver leaves Elio his billowy blue shirt as a memento. They promise to stay in contact. Over the phone, Oliver tells Elio that he, too, took a memento from his room, a postcard depicting Monet's Berm. Elio's father reveals to him that he knew about the affair and that he approves. He tells Elio that what he had with Oliver was a special, rare occurrence, something he himself never found in his life. The next year, Oliver marries a woman and goes on to father 2 children.